See that, right? So that's the head of the humerus, right? The clavicle goes above that. So here is the head of the humerus. If I lift the arm, right? If I lift the arm like this, right? The head of the humerus now is here, and the deltoid is above that. So I follow the top of the deltoid in a sense, because the head of the humerus is below that. That's the deltopectoral triangle, right? This is the deltoid, big volume. This is the pectoralis, big volume. There's nothing there. There's a space, and that creates the change in volume. This it distinguishes these two volumes quite clearly. So now here I have, this is the deltoid. That's the pectorali, right? 1 and 2, right? See that? 1 and 2, they go separate ways. So now here we have the fibers. So the fibers of the pectoralis, they go, let's find, so we need to give an order to the fibers of the pectorali, because if not, they are too messy. See how they converge to a point here, right? So we have, go from this corner to here, from this corner to here, from this corner to here. And then we block in between. By doing this, we identify 3 main segments of the pectorali, which is, one is the clavicular portion, one is the sternocostal portion, and one is the abdominal portion, like that. They all have different function, right? They will do different things, right? So now here we find the corner, right? And we go to here, right? We go to the point where the pectoral goes under the deltoid. The pectoral will go under the deltoid, right? So here, and like this, right? Now, from this corner, we go like this, right? And then from here, we go up like that. So we have 1, 2, 3. Then we start blocking in the in-between. That way you have already you can give, in part, to the fibers a control direction. You know how these will overlap, right? So now also you want to do this. The fibers of the segments that goes with the clavicle, the one on top, right? This one are on top of those that are below. So here they go under here like this. These are go under here like this. These go under like that. So we have an overlap, you know, the fibers. See that? Because the tendon will twist. So this goes down, this goes up, and now the fibers of the tendon and the muscle twist. That's the way the pectoralis is. So that's why we have this overlapping of this fiber over that, right? So now here we can also block in a little bit of a visualization of the segment like this, right? Of the attachment where the segment attach onto the sternum, and they have the little bumpy profile like this. The fibers of the latissimus are gonna come down like this, right? We're gonna look at this in another moment more accurately, and now we can block in here the muscle of the inside of the arm. That's quite tricky. So let's see. We have here the this fold here like this, right? And this is the flexor, right? These muscle on the side of the palm are the flexors, right? And these are going to be extensor on the side of the back of the hand. So these are the flexor, right? Because we see the hand here like this. Now here's the olecranon, the bump, right? This bump here, right? That's called olecranon. And here I have the end of the humerus, and now we have the tricep. This portion is going to be the tricep. We had 2 head of the tricep here. We're going to see them in a second, right? Now I want to block in a little bit more information, right, about the profile of the arm. You see, I see the peak here, right, and the peak of the bicep is going to be slightly angled, slightly to the left. So we're going to have these 2 peaks kind of angled like this. From it peaks here, and then it goes down like this. This is a massive bicep. copied from line, right? So anyway, so this is now the forearm like this. This is now the olecranon. This is the flexors. And now we can block in. Let me show you. So we have here, overall, at the big group, this is the bicep, right? Here, there's a bump in here. See this bump in here? That's the brachialis, right? Brachialis is a muscle that's difficult to see and is quite elusive, right? But it's brachialis. In this case, you see it because, again, this guy is well developed, right? And this is on the peak of the long head of the tricep. And there's a line here like this, right? And this is the medial head of the tricep. Let's see, I prepared a drawing showing the arm from the inside and to show you how that works, right? Okay, this is the bicep. Actually, let's use the photograph. This view is difficult because it's not that common, right? Seeing an arm from the inside, but so this is the bicep, and that's the coracobrachialis. Bicep coracobrachialis. The coracobrachialis goes from the coracoid process, right, to the brachio, the arm, and it's that. Let's see if you can see it. That thin wedge there. That's the coracobrachialis. So that bicep coracobrachialis, long head of the tricep. So let's look at this now, right? Bicep, right? Coracobrachialis, long head of the tricep, and medial head of the tricep. Medial head of the tricep is under. Is covered almost completely by the long head and the lateral heads, but you do see it here inside, and that's what it is. See that line there? And that's the brachialis. See that brachialis? And that's the brachialis. You know what I'm saying? When or also look how beautiful this goes. This is the pectoralis, and the bicep goes exactly under the pectoralis, and then here I would have the latissimus and the teres major, right? This wedge in here. So you don't do this with pure imitation. You cannot really do it, right? It's really, really hard. So that is further proof, to me at least, that the Greek, and also when I studied anatomy in Italy for medical purposes, we also had courses on history of medical illustration, and the professor, who was a physician, was an anatomist. He was also passionate about art, and he gave us all of this information about the deep knowledge that the Greek had, and also the notion, all this information we tell you earlier on about how the Greek would, at least Alcmaeon and few other were performing systematic dissection, and sometimes the dissection on prisoners, right? So the knowledge of anatomy here, absolutely stunning, right? So here we would have now the same thing. We would have, so this is now this line here is pretty much this line here, see that? And now here I have the deltopectoral triangle. This is now the pectoralis, and I want now to block in the fibers. So from here to here, right? From here to here, from here to here, like this, right? And from here to here. So usually I'm gonna make the profile of the chest a little bit smaller, right? Because also here there's some fat, some fat that can make the pectoralis look a little bit bigger. And here like this, right, like that. So now that is the fiber of the pectoralis. So now I create, I'm gonna take off that line, and gonna obtain that line with shading. So I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna block in this change of volume, right? I'm gonna obtain it with shading. So this is gonna be darker, and now I have this change of direction of the fibers like this, like this. So now, blocking this muscle more accurately, here there is bicep, goes under, the bicep goes under the pectoralis, so the pectoralis goes under the deltoid. So we have deltoid, right? And the pectoralis, you can see, goes under the deltoid like this, right? And then the tendon of the bicep goes under the pectoralis. So we have this 1, 2, 3, the most superficial, intermediate, and the deeper it goes deep under the pectoralis. So here the bicep has 2 heads, but probably we don't need to block in the 2 heads here now, right? So this is now the coracobrachialis. It goes to the coracoprosity, which is here. So we need to have it a little bit, maybe a little bit more straight. And now here we have the tricep, and here the brachialis, like this. This is the medial head, and this is the long head of the tricep, like that. So now let's clean up this a little bit, because then I would like to start actually, let's block in. We had time, a couple of minutes, so you go on for a little longer, just 5 minutes, just to block in this muscle here. So here we have the deltoid, right? The fibers of the deltoid. So we would have in here, because the arm is lifted, the clavicle disappears behind this. So, but we do see the segmentation, right? So the segmentation, see that? This is the lateral segmentation. This is the anterior segmentation. This is the posterior segmentation. So this series of videos are also complement to the videos of the Florentine structural system, where you already find in Patreon all the videos for the stereometric volumes and the traditional stereometric volume, meaning the square one, and then also the more interpretation, the rounded one. You find all of those. I also started posting the videos of the skeleton. So I think there's already 1 or 2 on the skeleton should be out. Eventually, in the future, I also will release all the videos for all the muscles that you can start layering over the skeleton, right? But this will give you an idea what I'm doing now, what you can do once you have seen all those videos, right? You studied all those videos and understood the muscle-skeletal relationship. So now here is the deltoid. This probably is at the corner, right? Is the deltoid. We see this volume here, and here you see another segment here, right? See that segment here. So we have one, and actually this is another segment here. So the deltoid, the fibers of the deltoid, the segment of the deltoid are kind of a little bit intertwined like this, right? Because they go from the deltoid, the fiber of the deltoid go from a wide area, point of origin, to they converge into a small point. So they kind of have some overlapping, some intertwining like this, basically, like my fingers now. So now here is another segment, see that here? And now here another segment like this, and another segment here like that. So that probably that's a vein, but here like this, right? Makes sense. So now we have all these segment converging to a point on the side of the humerus, halfway down the length of the humerus. Now here we have we can divide this, right, with the septum, right, intermuscular septum, from where the fascia stems goes out like this, right? And we have now here the lateral head of the tricep, here like this, and it will go down like this toward the olecranon, right? So this is now see how flat this gets here, right? Because that is the tendon. This is the volume, the muscle, that is the tendon. This bump here is the lateral epicondyle, right, of the humerus. And this is the ulna. The bump is the ulna. So here now we have the volumes. This line here, that's the volume of the extensors. And here, somewhere here, going to have the anconeus, but let's not get into that, right? This is now the brachioradialis. You see the brachioradialis here that would start in between the volume of the bicep and the tricep. And this is a little bit tricky to see, but I would say let's do it more clearly and more simply. So here is the bicep, and that's the brachioradialis. The brachioradialis will go down like this, right? It goes forward. Sorry, apologize. Brachialis. The brachioradialis is here, like this, right? And we don't really see it now very clearly, but it will wrap around like this and goes to here, to the base of to the radius, right? To the styloid process of the radius and at the base of the thumb, right? So this muscle wraps around here like this. This is a tricky portion it's a tricky part of the arm. We will need to study it separately, but for now, let's block it in like this. So bicep, brachialis, brachioradialis, tricep, and here, in here would have all the extensor of the fingers, right, and extensor of the thumb. But let's not get in that too soon, because this requires a lot of specific analysis. And this is now the iliac crest, right? The iliac crest and the iliac spine are going to be here like this. When you see this, right? I don't see the iliac spine, but I know it's there, because the iliac spine is usually at the point of change of angle between this line here, which is the iliac crest, and the inguinal ligament. When you see this, the iliac spine lives there, right? So now here we have the gluteus medius. Here we have the tensor fasciae lata. See this bump in here? That's the tensor fasciae lata. Tensor fasciae lata will create a bump in here like this. Tensor fasciae lata is difficult to see, right? But the sartorius here is very, very visible. See that? Sartorius goes from here, and what it does, it comes down like this. It goes to, it goes to the inside of the knee and frames the vastus medialis, right? So this is now the sartorius. This is now the adductors, and this is the rectus femoris. So this is the rectus femoris, vastus medialis, vastus lateralis, but we're gonna do these next month.